Hello guys and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about multiclassing in Baldur's Gate 3. So, we already have a lot of information about how multiclassing is going to work in Baldur's Gate 3. Larian has seen to it, so let's just get right into it. So, first of all, what is multiclassing? Multiclassing is whenever you disrupt your character's class progression to get a level in a different class. So let's say you started the game as a fighter and you've picked a few levels to level 4 fighter, you go to level 3 fighter and level 1 barbarian. So why would you want multiclass? That's a really big question. That's something you need to consider for you doing. Well, there's a few reasons for multiclassing. There's three main reasons for multiclassing. First of all, it's part building your character. You want to have the strongest possible character that you can. And multiclassing actually gives you a variety of very strong combinations between classes. Another reason for multiclassing is role-playing. Let's say that you're playing a fighter who realizes that no matter how good he becomes with a blade, he will never be able to be stronger than a wizard. Or also, another role-playing reason would be, let's say that a cleric lost faith in the abilities of their god, or a paladin broke his oath and now no longer feels worthy or no longer wants to continue following down the path of righteousness. So it would have to do with something mind-boggling happen to your character. But that's just role-playing, it's not really power gaming, and here we power game. So another really cool reason for multiclassing is some cool unique abilities. So let's say that you're playing a wizard, but you just found out this really cool heavy armor item that allows you to get an extra action, let's say. Or it increases your wisdom. But it's a heavy armor, which you're not proficient in. So you could take a level in cleric, or war cleric, or a level in life cleric, and that would give you proficiency to use this really cool item. Or for example, if you get a level in druid, or 2 levels in druid, you can shapeshift into animals, which is a very cool unique ability, and it would allow you to speak to animals and get some temporary hit points, and you'd be able to roleplay that completely different. So that's pretty much the reasons for it. Now, let's get to the disclaimer. So far, some of the classes and subclasses haven't yet been released, since we're still in early access. The game's coming out in 2 weeks. So, less than 2 weeks, actually. Wow. I'm so excited about it. So, they may actually differ slightly or a lot from what we are actually going to see. Also, please note that some tadpole abilities haven't been released. It's been released. That also, please keep in mind that it has been released that some tadpole abilities will be available, and there's going to be a skill tree. However, there is no actual information released at the moment, official information, so we cannot talk about that in this video. However, when the game is out, I will be making constant builds and guides using new items that I encounter or find out about, and the tadpole abilities. So if you want to be up to date with that, please subscribe and follow the channel. Ring that bell, whatever they call it, whatever they say these days. So, okay, let's get right to it. The one important thing to note is that Larian has confirmed that we're going to be able to respect our class. That means that we're going to be able to reset our progression and start over at any time in the campaign. So that means that you shouldn't be worried about trying out new things whenever you're playing the game. Let's say that you start out as a fighter and you want to get a level in druid. Don't worry about it. It's not going to be detrimental. You can always go back. So that's really cool, and it's going to allow us to experiment. Let's say that you find a really cool item that you're going to be able to, that you want to use, and you would have to take a level into war cleric to get the heavy armor proficiency. And you're not certain whether that's an item you're going to use forever or that you're going to want to use forever. So you can still take the level in war cleric, equip the item, have fun with it, and then 3 levels down the line when you add something better, you can just respec your class and it's going to be fine. So what do you need to know when you're considering how to multiclass? First of all, the experience you're gonna need to level up again doesn't change. So if I'm a level 3 fighter and I take a level into barbarian, I'm not gonna need more or less experience to go to level 5. My character level will still remain, let's say, level 4. So if I'm level 3 fighter and or a level 4 level 3 fighter, so if I'm a level 3 fighter and a level 1 barbarian or level 4 fighter, I will still need the same experience to progress to level 5. So just note that. You don't need to worry about it. Additionally, hit points and hit die. So what is that? Okay, so classes have different hit points and hit die. So as you can see, the barbarians have a hit die of d12. So what is a hit die? Essentially, whenever you rest, your character heals, rolls dice, and heals according to the hit die. In Baldur's Gate 3, it's a little bit different. However, the hit die still determine your maximum HP. So what does that mean? A barbarian, on level 1, you get HP equals to the maximum of your hit die plus your constitution modifier. If you don't know what that is, please go and check my character customization guide. So if you want to find more about that. However, let's say a barbarian will have 12 HP on level 1 plus his constitution modifier. A bard whose hit die is a d8 will have 8 HP plus their constitution modifier. So, and every time subsequently that you level up after level 1, you get half your hit die rounded up plus your modifier, constitution modifier. So what does that mean? For a barbarian, the average for a d12 is 1 plus 12 over 2, so that's 6.5. He will get 7 plus the constitution modifier. Let's say that you have 14 constitution, we're going to get plus 2, so that's 7 plus 2 per level up. A bard with 14 constitution would get 4 plus 2. Well, no, actually 5 plus 2, because it's 9 plus 1 over 2, 4.5 rounded up, 5 plus 2, so that's 7. So whenever you're multi-classing into a different class, the hit points that you get are different. So quickly, barbarians have the highest hit die, which are d12. Then it's fighters, rangers, and paladins that have a d10s. D10s means 10-sided die. D12 means 12-sided die. Clerics have d8s. Druids, monks, rogues, and warlocks have also d8. And wizards and sorcerers have the lowest HP hit die, which are d6. So if a barbarian with a d8, d12 hit die decides to multiclass into a sorcerer, they will gain significantly less HP in their next level. Not significantly, well, that's 3 HP. It makes a big difference. Okay, so let's continue. Additionally, there's a proficiency. So whenever you multiclass, you gain some proficiencies. So let's say that I decide to multiclass into barbarian. I will get proficiencies in shields, simple weapons, and martial weapons. If I decide to multiclass into warlock, I will get proficiency in light armor and simple weapons. In fighter, you get light armor, medium armor, shields, simple weapons, martial weapons. In cleric, you get light armor, medium armor, and shields. However, please note that some subclasses will give you additional proficiencies. So a war cleric will actually also give you proficiency in heavy armor. I will go through that down the line, so don't worry about it. Right now, it's just so that you keep an eye out, that this is something you need to know. You need to know what you're going to be getting from that. Additionally, channel divinity. So if you get channel divinity from different classes, so let's say you're a cleric and a paladin, and you get channel divinity as part of your class, you do not get an additional use of it per day. But you can still choose which ability you want to use, either the cleric or the paladin channel divinity. For extra attack, the extra attack feature, this is really important. If you get extra attack from fighter, level 5 and then you get extra attack from ranger level 5, you do not get 2 extra attacks. You only get 1. It doesn't stack. And then for spell casting, if you want to find out more information, I've actually created a video about it. It's quite complicated, so I'll link it at the end of this video if you want to find out more about how spellcasting works in multiclassing. Okay, so what do you need to consider? There are some questions you need to ask yourself before you multiclass. So, first of all, what is the optimal level for you to multiclass? Where are the power spikes of your class? So, I'll give you an example. Fighters get extra attack on level 5. What does that mean? It means that instead of doing 1 attack per turn, you get to do 2 attacks per turn. So if a level 4 fighter decides to multiclass into another level, let's say wizard, he loses on this power spike of level 5. This is something you need to really think about and consider, because if you delay your power spike, the game might not be very easy on you. The game might be challenging, and if you plan to play on the hardest difficulty or even normal difficulty, you can actually get yourself in trouble if you don't consider where your class power spikes are and get those before you multiclass. So that's one thing. Then the next question you should ask yourself is, which class am I multiclassing in, and how many levels do I want to get in it? So let's say that you, as a fighter, want to get multiclassing into barbarian. They're both melee classes, they're both considered to be in your face, and they do work quite well together under the right conditions. So if you decide to get at level 4, let's say, a level 4 fighter, you want to get a level into barbarian, you're going to be giving up the extra attack. What will you be gaining to make sure that it's worth giving up that extra attack on level 5, right? In my opinion, you shouldn't be doing that. But let's say you could do it on level 5. After level 5, you want to get to level 6, you get a level of barbarian. Why not? You're missing out on an ability score increase. This is what fighters get at level 6. But you get rage, which will, if used properly, will half the damage you take on the character. So it effectively doubles your HP. Plus, you will get a little bit more HP because you're a barbarian. So that considered, you need to definitely be considering that. We will go through in a table that I create. We will go through a table I created at the end of the video, where I will actually be showing you where I consider power spikes of different classes to be, and that's something you could use as a guide if you wish to, or for inspiration. I'll also be linking it below so you guys can access the document on your own. And yeah, okay, let's continue. Question number 3. How do the abilities and skills that I'm getting synergize or complement my current abilities? So let's say that I'm a berserker barbarian. Yeah, I need to work on my articulation. So let's say that you are a berserker barbarian. Berserker barbarians get a bonus action to use. They can use their bonus action subsequently after the first turn that they rage to do an extra attack, right? So if I'm a berserker barbarian and I get a bard level so that I can use bardic inspiration, which takes a bonus action to use, I'm giving up an attack to get that. And an attack could be anywhere from 5 to, well, if you're a raging barbarian, it would be at least 7 or 8 damage. So you're giving up potentially 7 to, well, it could go up to, let's say it's a crit, and you do mass damage, and you're a barbarian. Let's say you could be giving up to 40 or 50 points of damage. Let's say 40. So 5 to 40 points of damage to use a bardic inspiration, which might increase the chance of one of your allies' attacks to hit. It could be useful under the right circumstances. It's definitely not a bad thing to do if you know what you're doing and you have a plan in mind. But do consider what you're giving up. You cannot cast a fireball with your action and then attack on the same turn with that same action. So you have limited number of resources each turn, and you need to make maximum use of it. If you're not very sure about these things, I understand it's difficult to get into. And if you're a beginner, drop a subscribe. I'm gonna be going through builds, and then I will be diving deep into these builds, and I will be creating them and showing you how to play them. So if you don't want to do all the thinking, there's a good chance to be. So additionally, since we can respec our entire class, you should also consider which class to take first. If you remember earlier, we talked about a table where if you are already a fighter and you decide to multi-class into barbarian, you get some proficiencies. However, if you know, fighters start with proficiency in heavy armor. So if you actually multi-class into a fighter, you don't get everything that the fighters do, and this goes on for every class. If you multi-class into a bard, you don't get proficiency with three musical instruments. Instead, you get proficiency with only one. That's something to consider. Additionally, there's saving throw proficiencies. So different classes start with different saving throw proficiencies. I'll give you an example. A sorcerer of level 1 has a saving throw on Constitution and Charisma proficiencies. That means that whenever they have to make a Constitution saving throw against poison, or to maintain their concentration, or a Charisma saving throw to prevent some sort of spell effect taking effect on them, they're gonna be more effective. However, a fighter gets proficiency in Constitution and Strength. So if you want to have Strength saving throw proficiency, which is going to be better when your enemies are trying to grapple you or push you or tie you down, and if you plan to be in the face of your enemy, it's better to start as a fighter. But if you plan to be on the back line, a sorcerer might be a better choice as a first level. Okay, so additionally, you want to be thinking about items and tadpole skill trees that you can actually use effectively with your abilities that you're going to be taking. However, we cannot talk about those because we haven't had any information on them. And this is something that it's unique to Baldur's Gate 3. When should you respec your abilities? So let's say that I want to be a multi-class between barbarian and fighter. Fighters get rage, which reduces the damage you take, the physical damage you take by half. And fighters get action surge, maneuvers, etc. So as a level 4 fighter, you would get your maneuvers and additionally an ability score increase. But if you're a level 3 fighter and you get a level of barbarian, you can effectively double your HP by only giving up an ability score increase, which would be a +2 in strength or a feature, right? So we haven't talked about features. We'll talk about features right now. So it might be better to take 3 levels of fighter and 1 level in barbarian on level 4, and on level 5, when you would get the extra attack from the fighter, you respec back into a full fighter, and then you get a level in barbarian again at level 6. So that's something you can consider, and you should be considering. As the game is not static and it allows you to respec, you should make full advantage of it and play at the hardest difficulty if you want to get the most out of your power game. Otherwise, you can just play the story mode and just win the game without really having to be good at it. Let's see. Okay, so features. You should also be considering features. What are feats or features? Essentially, whenever you have an ability score increase in the game, you can make the decision to forgo that ability score increase ability score increase. The ability score increase would give you plus, well, 2 points to distribute amongst your abilities. So you could make your strength from a 16 to an 18. That's actually quite powerful. However, you can choose to forego that and choose a unique feature that will synergize with your build very well. So let's say you're a barbarian, you want to pick Great Weapon Master, and you're going to be getting advantage and bless from your reckless attack and a bless from your cleric in the party. So you're actually it's gonna be easy for you to hit your attacks. So you want to get Great Weapon Master, which essentially is a feat that gives you -5 on your chance to hit, on your roll to hit. So that equals to -25% chance to hit. However, if you have advantage on your attack and you have bless from your cleric, that diminishes. And it gives you +10 to your damage, +10 on each attack. So you can choose to turn that off or not. But that's something that can be really powerful when used properly. So do consider features whenever you're making decisions. Again, I understand this is difficult. This is not easy for new players. So again, if you are struggling with this, feel free to ask any questions below in the comments. Feel free to subscribe. And we're going to be going and making those builds. Additionally, this is something we should discuss. Well, this actually ties back to the which class am I multiclassing in. Through this again. So let's say that I'm playing a rogue. The rogue damage and the rogue abilities like sneak attack synergize very well with finesse and dexterity abilities. Having a high dexterity, essentially. However, a barbarian who wants to use big weapons, those weapons synergize with strength. They do more damage with strength, and it's easier to hit your enemy if you have high strength with a great axe. So, if you want to multiclass between a rogue and a barbarian, you should genuinely consider that the abilities don't synergize very well. And you could say, okay, I'm going to play a barbarian, I want to multiclass into rogue, so I'm actually going to be hitting with rapiers, which are a finesse weapon or dexterity weapon, and I'm going to put all my points on dexterity. However, your rage gives you damage on the strength abilities, so you're going to be missing out on strength-based weapons, so you're still going to be missing out on damage, so they don't work very well in that particular aspect. However, there is this really cool thing I'm going to be talking about in the next video, a rogue barbarian build. So apart from that, let's just go through where I consider the class abilities to be optimal. So I created this Excel sheet. I know nobody wants to see Excel of the work hours, but this is all I could think of. If you have a better suggestion, I'm very willing to redo this in a different tool. Right, so I've only added up to level 6 on what you're going to be getting and the power spikes of the classes that you're going to be multiclassing into, because if you plan to go past level 6 and the game is level 12, the game goes up to level 12, right? It means that basically it essentially means that you're not if you want to multiclass more than 6 level to barbarian, it means that you're not a fighter. Let's say you're more of a barbarian than a fighter, so it works the other way around. This only goes up to level 6 because we're going into the deeps. So barbarians, level 1 just to get rage is really strong, level 2 to get reckless attack, and level 3 is also strong because you get enraged throw if you're a berserker, you get the bear rage if you're a wild heart barbarian. You could go for wild magic, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's a fun build, but it's not the strongest build. If you're playing a bard, getting level 3 to get the expertise and some bonus from College of Lore, bonus proficiencies and cutting words, could really tie in a build where you're trying to be essentially a phase build where it's based mostly on abilities. Level 3 will also give you access to level 2 spells. So you're also going to be able to combine some very cool, unique abilities into that, like enhance ability. So you're essentially going to be building a phase class where it succeeds on almost every skill check that they do. Additionally, you could go level 3 and into the Swords on the Valor class and try to get some fighting style, to get a fighting style, or some blade flourish and combat inspiration, which would be cool in a fighter build or a rogue build. But yeah, I would consider level 3 to be the level for bards. For clerics, one level of cleric is very strong. It gives you pretty much the main essence of a cleric. So if you get life, particularly I would recommend life or war cleric. So essentially, yeah, this gives you heavy armor proficiency and some unique abilities like War Priest. War Priest is actually probably one of my favorite abilities to multiclass into. It gives you an extra attack equals to your wisdom abilities, equal to your wisdom modifier. So let me show you what I mean. War Priest 5e, War Domain, yeah, here we are. So when you use the attack action on your turn, you can make one attack action as a bonus action. So basically this is giving you exactly what 3 levels in Barbarian would do. However, you can only use that equals number to your wisdom modifier. So let's say you're playing a ranger that has ranger spellcasting is based on wisdom. Therefore, if you're playing a ranger, you're going to have high wisdom. And you can also pick a level of War Priest, and that would give you a bonus action attack equal to your wisdom modifier, so that's up to 5 per day, per long rest. So you wouldn't use it on a fight against the random encounter where it's just one NPC you can easily kill. But if you're fighting a boss, you would probably be using all of those charges. Okay, so really strong. I would put this in a different color, really. And then they get Guided Strike on level 2, where they can use their Channel Divinity to give a plus 10 on the to hit of any attack roll. That's actually really strong of an ability. However, you can only use that once per short rest or long rest, so you're not going to be getting much use out of it. However, if you go with a Great Weapon Master feat that we talked about earlier, that's actually really strong. Another thing that I noticed is the Tempest Cleric Destructive Wrath ability, Channel Divinity, which essentially gives you maximum damage on your next lightning or thunder attack. So let's say you go level 6 Wizard or Sorcerer, and you use and you use Lightning Bolt, or you plan to use Chain Lightning, and according to how Larian discussed this, you're actually going to be able to get the highest. You're going to be able to get a level 6 spell of Chain Lightning, even if you do get 2 levels of Cleric. So this would actually synergize very well with that. So let's say you Chain Lightning deals, if I remember correctly, 8d10. So you're going to be able to use this Channel Divinity and get 80 flat damage to 3 enemies. Pure damage. And if you have some sort of resistance bypass through that, then you're going to be able to do pure 80 damage to any enemy. Lightning damage. That's really strong. Then we have the Druid table, where we have the Wild Shape on level 2. You still can get 1 level to get access to some spells. Additionally, Circle of Spells, Circle of the Moon and Spores are really strong circles. Then for fighter, you could dip one level to get a fighting style and second wind. Fighting styles are pretty cool, they do stack. So if you have fighting style from another class, you can also get another different fighting style when you get a level in fighter. You also get some cool proficiencies. If you get 2 levels, you get action surge. Action surge is actually one of the strongest abilities in the game. It gives you an additional action in that turn, and actions are essentially what you use to cast your big spells or to make 2 attacks or 3 attacks even if you're a level 11 fighter. So they synergize very well. And maybe there's going to be items that give you additional actions, right? So or extra attacks during your actions. So the action surge could be a very strong ability in the game. Then there's a martial archetype. Out of all of them, I mostly like the Battle Master's ability. It essentially gives you to choose between some maneuvers that can really make or break a fight. The champion improved critical also is very strong. I wouldn't ignore this one. Essentially, it allows you to crit on 19 or 20 instead of 20, so it doubles your chance for a critical. And it works actually really well with a barbarian, where you have advantage on your attacks, or any build that has advantage with their attacks. For monks, my opinion is that there's a peak in a monastic tradition would be on level 5, where they get their stunning strike. It's a really strong ability. It allows you to stun your enemy with each attack to make an attempt to stun your enemy. They have to make a constitution saving throw, and you need a high wisdom for it. But you could be multiclassing monk with ranger or rogue or a cleric and be doing those extra attacks that have a stunning chance. Okay, so paladins. 1 level in paladin, I wouldn't say it's the strongest actually. Okay, so 1 level in paladin, I wouldn't say it's really strong. However, 2 levels in paladin will give you access to divine smite, which is a really strong ability. If you have high level spell slots to consume, it can deal a lot of damage in burst. It also gives you a fighting style and spell casting, so you're also going to be getting some cool spells. Additionally, another power spike of paladins are on level 6 when they get their aura of protection. Level 5 they get extra attack. So you could get 6 level of paladins and then go 6 level of warlocks or sorcerer, and get those spell slots which you could use to burn through your divine smite. Rogues on level 1 get expertise, which is very strong if you plan to do anything very well. If you want to sneak very well, you can get expertise from rogue and just double your proficiency on everything. They also get sneak attack 1d6 per turn. It's not much if you just get 1 dip of the level, and you need to be using a finesse level weapons. Yeah, the biggest thing is expertise if you want to do that. Cunning action is also cool, probably not worth spending a level just to get that. However, 3 levels of rogue into thief will give you 2 bonus actions, and oh my god, is that broken. That's going to be one of the strongest abilities in the game, and I'm going to be abusing this in my builds down the line. Ranger. So for ranger, on level 1, not great. It does give you some cool abilities, not great. Level 2 is also okay, you can get Hunter's Mark. However, what I consider to be a really strong level is level 3. You can get Summon Companion as a Beastmaster, which allows you to summon a companion, a bear for example, to fight with you. That bear gets an attack every turn, and an attack every turn is an attack every turn. Its action economy is really the ground base for D&D combat. So if you have 10 actions and the enemy has 5, you have a massive advantage against them. And 1 extra action or attack per turn can really turn the tide of the game. Also, that companion has HP, which can be used, to tank the enemy. Additionally, Counter Spray gives you additional damage, and Dread Ambusher is probably one of the strongest abilities if you want to play some sort of assassin build. Actually, the rogues assassins are also strong. So talking about assassin builds. Sorry for that. So the Dread Ambusher ability is an ability where on the first turn of each combat you get an extra attack. That may not sound as flashy, but if combined well, let's say with assassins that get a crit, that crit on every attack they make on the first turn, that's just really strong. And you get an extra attack, right? So an extra attack that crits. So that's double damage. So that's basically like getting 2 attacks. So that's equivalent to getting an action surge. But you also have some perks from the ranger and some spell casting. Okay, so sorcerers, I would say if you want to play a sorcerer, it's very hard to deep into a sorcerer and justify it. You could go for 1 level to get draconic resilience. However, I guess level 1 would be useful if you want to get the shield spell or some unique abilities from the level 1 sorcerer spells. And I would probably get draconic resilience with it, as it gives you resistance against a damage type. So let's say a fighter gets 1 level of sorcerer just to get access to the shield spell, and yeah, maybe that's enough to give you that +5 a armor class on your reaction. But yeah, it's not a class usually people take a few levels in. If you go sorcerer, you're probably getting 1 level, unless you want to play a main class sorcerer and then just get a few levels of paladin or warlock, or I don't know, whatever else your appetite really wants. So warlock, I would say the strongest part of warlock is level 2, maybe even level 3, but mostly level 2, where you get your Eldritch Invocations. So as a sorcerer, you could get 2 levels of warlock, and that would give you access to the Eldritch Invocations, where you can get Agonizing Blast, which essentially would give you +5 on every Eldritch Blast, which you would get on level 1 warlock, the cantrip. So on level 11, you're actually going to be able to do 3d10 plus 15 damage as your action for free without using a spell slot. And then if you quicken another Eldritch Blast, then you're basically dealing 6d10 plus 30 every turn with just 3 sorcery points. In Baldur's Gate 3, quicken action is 3 sorcery points instead of 2. Quicken spell. And then a level in Wizard would also be good if you want to get the Portent Feat, or again some level 1 wizard spells. I wouldn't recommend getting more than 1 wizard spell, wizard classes, unless the way the classes work in 5e, in Baldur's Gate 3, is that they allow you to have access to the entire spell list up to the character level that you're on. So if I'm a level 6 spellcaster, and I'm 5 level sorcerer and 1 level wizard, if I get access to all the spells, it might be good. But right now, it's not great. But the Portent ability is really good, and the Sculpt spells are also good. So those are 2 abilities, 2 multiclassing that I would considering. Probably Sculpt spells is not as good as Portent, though. Portent allows you to change any role you see in the game to some predetermined roles that you have. So the Divination Wizard. So you roll 2 die at the start of your day. Let's say you roll a 20 and a 1, and you can use any attack you make, your reaction to change any attack or roll that an ally makes into that 20, and any attack the enemy makes into a 1. Or a saving throw that an enemy makes. That's really strong. If you can force a fail on an enemy, you could use some really strong spells and really destroy them with that. Alright, so that was my guide, guys. I will be adding the link to the to the table that I made in the description. Please subscribe if you like the content. I will be making a lot more. It took me a lot of time to make this video. I really appreciate you guys for watching. It genuinely means a lot to me because I'm just starting out. I've just started out recently, and any level of support I get is huge for me. I just got my first real non-actual friend subscriber today, and it was really exciting for me. So yeah, thank you for watching, and have a great day, and I hope I see you soon again, and we're gonna be creating some really cool builds together. And if I'm doing anything wrong, please comment about it. I want to know. Thank you so much, and goodbye.